G'day YouTube, Warbles on a lot here. Showcasing more or less as well as I can my almost 400 kilometre 3-year-old Tebco Discovery. Tebco being, of course, the electric bicycle company, which is kind of cunning, you know, like from a marketing jism point of view, with its aerodynamic wheel rims and its big chunky tyres and its actual damped suspension full travel front forks. Even though it's only got 7 gears and a 250 watt hub drive motor, it's probably pretty fair to call this an entry-level electric mountain bicycle. The placarded max load 25 kilogram rack, I'm guessing that's aluminium rather than steel, but I haven't tried it with a magnet, it's never bothered me. It's got a wired up electric tail light. It's got a wired up electric headlight. Front brakes, back brakes, puffle horn, 5 button keyboard to communicate with the computer, and a display. Tells you what gear it's in, front brake, back brake, twist grip throttle. When this brochure was printed, before this was imported, as one of a range of 3, which all come at the same price of roughly $2,200. Like I said, the Discovery was the one with the proper suspension. In order to cope with the ruffiness of the roads here in the forest wherein at I do live in my humble little abode, off with the birdies, as it were. Yeah, Swamp Wallaby wants me to go over there and feed it, but we're making a video. So, the story is, and we won't worry about that because that's what they call a mid-drive and it's an extra $700. The story is that when these were put on the boat in China, here in Oz, we could have lawfully on the road as electric bicycles, machines with fully functional twist grip throttles up to 200 watts. Or you could have, instead, you could have a system called pedal assist, which revolves and requires around a strain gauge on the pedal crankshaft, and it takes anywhere from 3/4 to 1.5 turns of the crank before that thing tells the motor to give you some assistance in anywhere from 0 to level 9, up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 effected by a plus and a minus key on your keypad. But the thing was, for a pedal assist you could get 250 watt motor maximum, an extra 50 watts, which when you're talking 200 versus 250, yeah, it's worth going after. So it was to try and make pedal assistance attractive to the consumers. More power, but you got to control it with a foot throttle. However, between when that was put on the boat and me going into the shop to buy it, a thing called COVID happened and there were delays and all sorts of stuff. So by the time it actually got to be in the shop, there it was with a fully enabled throttle twist grip and a 250 watt hub drive motor. And Tebco in Melbourne, the importer, talked to the federal government, who talked to the state governments, and they basically grandfathered that time delayed shipment and made it lawful to sell it. And when it was sold to me, you only had pedal assist. And my experience is that when the ultralight motor glider test pilot's ankle, which allows that and it allows that, but it will not under any circumstances allow that, when it's asked to control the throttle setting on an electric motor in the back wheel of a bicycle while pedaling uphill on lumpy, rocky dirt, well, I was pretty pleased when I took that machine down for its first free service to outline my problem to the people who, when they sold it to me, the law said they had to sell it to me as a pedal assist machine, and the twist grip would only give you 5 kilometres an hour walk assist, as it was called. And I said, "You're not a bicycle salesman today talking to me, are you?" And he said, "Not really, I'm more a bicycle mechanic." And I said, "Good, there then. Speaking as a bicycle mechanic, I got a problem over here, it's not working." And he said, "Oh yes?" And I said, "Can you talk to its computer and make that work the way it was designed to work back when it left the factory?" And he said, "Yeah, I can do that." "Thanks very much." And I explained the ankle. So this thing is a bit of a unicorn. No laws were broken in me acquiring this very late model twist grip throttle enabled 250 watt hub drive Tebco Discovery. And I wanted the extra 50 watts because, and this is going to come off pretty soon because I'm never going to tow it again with this bike, this is a tow bar for a bicycle trailer, which is good for 40 kilograms and it's rated for 40 kilometres per hour. And I have every intention of, in the fullness of the time, when I've got the correct licence to be able to ride it, which you're not allowed to do on either an L plate or a red P plate, but when I'm lawful, I want to modify this to tow the trailer, which I purchased when the fantasy was that I was going to go to town on an electric bicycle and collect the groceries like that. But, you know, from October 2021 to now, I've done almost 400 kilometres on this. Had a lot of fun. And when I was off in Coffs Harbour, getting my head cooked and some intravenous cytotoxic chemotherapy as well for 7 weeks, I did 176 kilometres around and around the Coffs Harbour Hospital car park and the back streets of Coffs Harbour on my Tebco Discovery. Only fell off at the once. And if you look really super carefully, you might be able to just barely see where I used a Sharpie permanent marker to cover up the scratches in the black anodising over the aluminium casting of the brake levers and their mountings, which did occur the one time in 400 kilometres that I fell off. Oopsie. Try not falling off when you're lost in the middle of getting your head cooked and mainlining poison. You're allowed to get lost and fall off, I reckon. Anyway, yeah. So I am in possession of this and all of the stuff that I got when I got it, because I had the fantasy. So when I bought it, I didn't buy just a bike. I bought a bike and I bought a spare battery, and I didn't want to get in the situation where you've had this thing for years and then the battery charger dies and you can't get a battery charger to charge that battery because it's all got different software and the manufacturer's changed the model and they're moved on to something else, and they don't make anything much with any spare parts these days because that's part of planned obsolescence. It is a marketing strategy. So to foil the marketing strategy is I bought 2 spare tyre cases. So if I couldn't buy a tyre case that fit that bloody Chinese manufactured wheel, then I had some. One for front and one for the back. And 2 tubes also as well. And then after I started to ride the thing, and I discovered that if you ride it the way I like to, with me crook ankle, which means the bike will do 25 kilometres an hour on the flat just with the twist grip. And it'll do that on about 40% power if it's a flat road, maybe 60%. So I would do that on the flat. Come to a hill, if the bike won't do 22 kilometres an hour going up the hill, that's when I start to pedal and help it. Going down the hill, you roll off the throttle and let it roll, and I've had that up to 48, 49 kilometres an hour coming down Yarraford Road. It does go. But I only ever got it halfway to town before I had to go off and get my head cooked, and when I come back from having the head cooked, I was pretty much too crook to ride it because I had no fangs and I couldn't eat anything except soup and porridge and fruit juice and sustagen. And then, long story short, I now have 1,138 kilometres or something on the electric motorbike. So I now have this and the 2 more spare batteries, because I figured if I'm going to be riding this into town and towing the trailer load back, I'm going to need to use 1 battery to get to town, 1 battery for riding around town, and another battery for coming home. And that way, if I get home towing a trailer load of groceries and the battery for coming home's a bit tired, I'm going to have probably 2/3 of the going around town battery and maybe 1/4 of the battery for going to town available. So essentially, when you live out here and you haven't got an absolute need to ride an electric bicycle on the secondary or tertiary bitumen roads or on the highway in the 100 kilometre an hour zone where 22, 25 kilometres an hour is 1/4 of the speed of the people overtaking you, it can be a bit frightening. And you have to pedal to make it up the hills. So when you get to the top of the hill and you're tired, that's when you might be a bit wobbly, and yeah, you've got B doubles and all sorts of things to deal with. In town, this would be lovely. If my daughter perhaps had a great bent for riding up and down on the bitumen road, then maybe she'd want it, but she's not into keeping logbooks on 4 batteries and making sure that they don't get left and gone mouldy from underuse. And I wouldn't mind a spare battery for the electric motorbike, so I can alternate 2 batteries, and maybe instead of having 1 battery die of old age after 7 years, I might get 14 years out of 2 batteries when they have 1 week on and 1 week off, kind of sort of thing. So yeah, I'm needing to turn this into money. And I've talked to the local second-hand car salesman who actually rides a bicycle around the town, and I'm hoping he might buy it off me. But if anybody wants to jump in front of him, yeah, you need to talk to me about it. In the meantime, I thought we might go for a little bit of a ride up to the other end of the brush cutter track where I've been following a bulldozer at a distance literally of 33 years, because that's how long ago I paid Cole Gardner to put in a bulldozed track. Why not, eh? I thought we might do it once at a sort of a slow and gentle pace, and then we might do it once more at a bit of a more herby thing. I did do it 4 times, day before yesterday. Maintenance charging the batteries, every couple of months, ride off for a kilometre, ride back, well, in this case half a kilometre away, half a kilometre back. It's kind of the same as rolling down to the front gate on Barilda and riding electrically all the way back up to my place. Only with this little track that only took me so far 17 hours to put in with a brush cutter, I don't really have to pedal my little backside out to get up the hill to my front gate. I do have to pedal a bit to sort of maintain the speed, because being a hub drive motor, it hasn't got a lot of power at all below 10 kilometres an hour. And between 10 and 15, it kind of sort of likes to be helped if there's any kind of a hill. Above 15 kilometres an hour all the way up to 25 kilometres an hour, it's got quite a surprising amount of torque. You know, it's small diameter right there in the hub, and it hasn't got any gear ratios or anything. So yeah, it's a very nice electric bicycle, but this place is just not really quite the correct place for an electric bicycle. You know, it's taken 17 hours with an electric brush cutter to make the following track. Battery number 2, as promised, the logbook. Battery 1 on the left, battery 2 on the right. And then flip the book, battery 3, battery 4. Battery number 2 on the right is in the bike. It had done the bike had done 390.2 kilometres on the 16th. Today's the 18th. And a 1 kilometre ride took 5 minutes. We went it to 391.2. And then I did that 3 more times. And battery number 1, it brought us to 394.2 kilometres total distance travelled. All 4 batteries had been 2 months since previous maintenance charge, and they were sitting on 41.4 volts before the ride, 40.4 volts after the ride. And they all took about 50-55 minutes to recharge on the Tebco charger. And yeah, I run 2 of them in parallel on the sunlight, collected and stored in the pyramid. Like such. Battery 2, 41.5, maybe 41.45, can't seem to quite make its mind up. Multimeters are a bit like that from time to time, so I do find. Nice and simple, isn't it? Okay. Camera on the chest mount. Computer live. I thought we might do a fairly gentle little run first up. I'm in first gear, helping a little tiny bit at 14.9 k's. I'm pretty bloody certain there's no way I could ride an ordinary push bike at this speed along this track at this speed. This is what they call the big backyard theory, eh? And here we see the working face. And that's what the road looked like before I got into it with the brush cutter. So yeah, this thing's for sale. And my theory is, Scott Morrison gave me $2,250 for the COVID pensioners economic stimulus package concept, whatever it was. So I got the bike for free, with the one battery and the one charger. And admittedly the mirror on the bike cost me $70, and the pump cost something, and the toolkit cost something, but they can go with it. So can the helmet. And as well as that, the 2 tubes, 2 tyres, 3 batteries, spare charger, all the accessories for what I paid for them, $2.5 grand. And that way I get to keep the trailer, and I've had the fun and the experience. And if you're into such things, you can say that cancer hates exercise and the TEPCO discovery cured me of cancer. But I think it was really the radiation oncologist and the linear accelerator and the chemotherapist. But anyway, there we go. Right, now what do we got? 395.2 kilometres, 4 minutes, max 21.5, average 14.9. Okay, 1 kilometre. Whoopsie, there was one other thing, yes, I did want to show. Come on you come. There we go. Screen's back up live, and good-doink, we have the icon. I forgot that that icon happens as soon as you actually let go of it. But there we go. Look you at that. It is the brightness of the light. Not only, but also it's the lightness of the bright. There is in fact a little icon there that says headlight. And when you push that, it goes off. Look merely like that and that. And look you at that. I did hear a little bit of, and I picked up a stick noise. Oops, that one's actually quite properly entangled in the derailleur. And here's one hooked up in the front. But yeah, I think that if anybody is even remotely thinking about being in the market for an electric mountain bike, then unless you really want to pay top dollar for full price for an absolutely brand new one, admittedly a new one's going to have a warranty, but the new one is probably going to cost more than I'm asking for this one, plus 3 spare batteries, a spare charger, 2 spare tyres, 2 spare tubes, bottle of chain lube, mirror, pump, tool bag, logbook on all 4 batteries. As a package deal owned by one little old mad scientist living in the forest, being kept as a pet tame human by 6 generations of swamp wallabies, 5 generations of grey kangaroos, 3 generations of possums, a family of troughs, a family of currawongs, a family of bowerbirds, a bunch of red-bellied black snakes, and a whole lot of other critters who live up here in the forest around me. We shared the territory. But I just haven't got a room in my life for an electric bicycle that really needs to be living in town, where there's like a 50 km/h speed limit, smooth paved roads, and you can go from one side of the town to the other in about 2.5 kilometres. With some off-road capability, if you want to go up a dirt road, yeah, you can do it without fear or worry of falling off. You can cope with potholes. I'm hoping that somebody will decide. Obi-Wan Kenobi, here's the deal. On the table we have, as promised, 2 new tyre cases to fit the Chinese bicycle wheels I've never seen before. 2 spare tubes to go with the 2 spare cases. 2 battery chargers. They suck about 8 amps out of a 12 volt battery to feed the 12 volt to 240 volt inverter. So I make them about 100 watts. 1 battery on the bike and 3 spares. Original, bought from the same shop, made in the same factory, numbered and with logbook and charge record. And the odometer readings match the ones on the bike. For light comic relief, we will add in a really expensive high-grade lock that only had a couple of uses when I was in Coffs Harbour, training it up to a signpost, but I don't need it on the motorbike because the motorbike has got a steering lock built into the fork, so I really don't kind of need that. And up here, who's going to steal the bike anyway? That was only for parking it in town while doing shopping on the shopping runs that never ever happened because this bike just wasn't the right thing for doing that with. And then we have this patent Muck Off Dry lube, race quality lubricant for, you know, all the riding conditions under the sun. But anyway, that is what you're technically supposed to be using, so therefore I bought it and have used it, and nothing because it's not remotely what you use on the motorcycle, so it had better go along with the bicycle bits. What else have we got? Hey, what else have we got? Hey, is that right? Well, we have a Gyro brand helmet, unmarked, of a style they call, believe it or not, Tremor. Anyway, I never got a scratch on it, and it's not legal to sell second-hand helmets, but it's not illegal to give them away. So yeah, that was 70 bucks, and another $30, which I never even got it out of the packet, was a helmet-mounted wing mirror, which was going to have to try and put up with tremoring along on my hat, because the handlebar on the right hand side was as busy as could be, and then unless you took away the puffle horn, there would not be any room to mount another mirror, because you've got your control panel, which has to be right there so you can make your pedal assist adjustments if you're using pedal assist, which I don't. And I would suggest that unless you're a masochist, then you won't either. But a lot of people like it. I don't, but then not everybody else has ultralight motor glider test pilot's ankle, which in my case makes pedal assist an absolute pain in the ankle. There, I don't think I can really go fairer than that. I'm selling the whole bloody lot for what it cost me for the accessories, and the bike comes for free, which means I've effectively dropped 50% on the purchase price over 3 years, but I've had a lot of fun, and technically you might be able to claim that it saved me life. You know, like if you ask them down at the North Coast Cancer Institute, Mid-North Coast Cancer Institute, they'll probably tell you that out of all of the people who showed up there with a bloody electric bicycle and rode around the car park for 7 weeks of the treatment, it's got a 100% record of success. So, yeah. Electric mountain biking cures cancer. Just ask for a lump that's not there where it used to be. Sorry, I couldn't resist. Warbles on a lot to YouTube. Owned by one little old mad scientist in a lawn locker. But the batteries have never been frozen, and nor has the bike, because when not actually in use, the electric bike has resided inside my children's old bunk room. So it's been out of the sun, out of the wind, out of the rain, with a hot air outlet being heated by a thermosiphon driven by the potbelly in the hut. Cold air coming in from under the bunk in the bunk room, and hot air going out up here back into the vent that I just showed you beside my teenage son's picture of a naked woman. Because, you know, teenage boys are a bit like that. Isn't that right? Yeah? See, I told you I was off with the birdies. Did I lie to you? There you go. Now you know. As it says in the title of the video, discovery for sale. Warble's electric mountain bike. Ciao.